All right, good afternoon, everybody. I think we've all seen, I know you all have seen, the recent attacks on maritime shipping by the Houthis. Missiles and drones fired by them from Yemen and targeting commercial vessels. These attacks represent a direct threat to international commerce and to freedom of navigation. They've jeopardized the lives of merchant sailors that represent multiple countries all around the world. And while they are launched by the Houthis, we certainly have every reason to believe that they're being enabled by Iran. As the National Security Advisor said just the other day, the Houthis are pulling the trigger, Iran is providing the guns. Now, Jake also talked about our efforts to explore the value of maritime task forces to help deal with this threat. And so today, I can tell you that the Departments of State and Defense are leading a coordinated effort to strengthen and expand the 39-member Combined Maritime Forces. That's a multinational maritime partnership which exists to counter illicit non-state actors in international waters. Everything from just basic maritime security to anti-piracy and trafficking. Our focus at this time is ensuring that there are sufficient military assets in place to deter these Houthi threats to maritime trade in the Red Sea and in the surrounding waters, to the global economy writ large. We're also encouraging other like-minded nations to join this coalition, and we've actually heard some interest from several key partners that are interested in coming aboard. Additionally, the Treasury Department announced today sanctions on 13 individuals and entities responsible for providing funds to the Houthis in Yemen. These sanctions will further cut off those who facilitate Houthi attacks, and they'll follow a number of sanctions on the Houthis and the IRGC, the Revolutionary Guard Corps in Iran, that Treasury has already rolled out since the 7th of October. And of course, we are leading an international coordinated effort to condemn these Houthi attacks and their threat to global commerce, including what you, I think, saw in the G7 leader statement that we talked about yesterday, and through targeted efforts through the UN Security Council. This is an international problem, and it demands an international solution, and that is exactly the approach that the United States is going to take to it. Now, lastly, just want to make one thing clear, that the commanding officers of our ships, our Navy ships at sea, have and will execute their inherent right of self-defense. And we don't have any conclusive information right now that suggests that U.S. Navy ships have been specifically targeted by the Houthis. But, as we have in the past, so will we in the future take these missiles and drones down if we perceive a threat to our ships, our sailors, the ships and sailors of our partners, and of course, merchant traffic in and around the region. With that, I'll take some questions.
John, you talk about military assets in the region. Is the United States going to send more there, or what all is needed there?
Well, we've already bolstered the presence in the region, particularly on the maritime side. Now, you have 2 aircraft carrier strike groups that are operating, one in the Eastern Med, of course, and then one right now in the Arabian Gulf. But as you probably know, a carrier strike group doesn't sail like it did in World War II. They're fairly disaggregated. Some ships and aircraft, obviously the air wing stays with the carrier, but other escort ships, some of the destroyers, they split off. And so, for instance, the ships that have been responding to these distress calls in the Red Sea, they belong to the Eisenhower strike group, even though the Eisenhower itself is in the Arabian Gulf. So I don't have any additional force posture to speak to, no announcements coming, but I do think it's important to point back to what the president has already done. And it's not just at sea. He's added additional fixed-wing aircraft to the region and air and missile defense capabilities. We're always going to keep our options open, certainly not going to take anything off the table in terms of additional posture changes if it's required.